Hey guys, so I made a few more trades, which concludes the bulk of my wheeling and dealing. Definitely weeded out a lot of the Draken. I've acquired some players that I like, so I'm starting to get in a position where I can be a little more complacent and less aggressive on the trade market. So let's just look and see what I did really quickly. So first I got Billy Osborne. You can see he's no great shakes. He has pretty decent power versus righty and eye, but his contact's underwhelming. He's a left-handed hitter, so I'm probably just going to mostly use him against right-handed pitching. I'll use him at right field and first base, but mostly first base because I prefer to get the positive defense instead of stretching him out to a place where he'll be mediocre. He won't be that much of a liability in right field, but still, I'm really anal about my defense, so whatever. Uh, I don't really know how long he'll stick in my major league roster, but considering I had so few pieces and most of the ones I did have were overpaid and I wanted to trade them out, I'll take the cheap bit pieces wherever I can and just upgrade along the way. It's sort of going to be a continuous process, but just getting somebody who can just filling out the roster with the bit pieces who can play a little bit, help me get off on the right foot and then make it easier to build around. And then it sort of snowballs as we go. I pick up players when they come available instead of forcing it in. I'm not gonna give up, somebody who's just marginally better a big contract just because I want to just to get an extra half a win or whatever. And I gave up Jesus Johnson, who I was going to demote to AAA anyway. Basically, the guy just wanted a utility guy, and I don't really like Jesus Johnson that much because he's really good at third base, pretty good at second base, but I mean his defensive first utility isn't all that great. He's not going to be. I mean, he's barely acceptable at center field, and you can see in Fenway he hits okay, but that's Fenway inflated, and his on base percentage still sucks ass, even for a utility guy. I mean, you can roster this guy if you insist upon it, but I prefer to aim a little higher, even for my bench players, so I don't really mind giving him up for someone like that. It's a decent little trade, nothing really big, but I'll use Osborne more than I would have used Johnson. Now this deal's pretty awesome because I unloaded Tony Burgess, who is $22.5 million of dead weight, and it would have driven me crazy if I had to pay a guy $7.5 million who's like fifth on my up the middle depth chart among position players. So he's gone, and that's awesome. And I offered to give up somebody of value, and really all the guy wanted was Matty Zerberon, who didn't really care. I actually like the guy I got in return better than Matty Zerberon. The ironically named Doc Harris, which is ironic because he's not very healthy. He's probably going to get injured and die really early. On a serious note, it'll probably be a lot of 10 and 20-day injuries, and that's not really a problem for me because I'm just gonna I like to keep a pretty deep team, so I'll rotate him in, but when he goes down, I'll have guys to rotate in for him, and if he gets one of those lethal 300-day injuries, whatever, I'll just replace him on the roster, and it's not like I'm counting on him to do too much. I can have some guy who steps in, like the center fielder I acquired in another trade, and just play on an everyday basis, and just I don't have to go make a blockbuster trade for a starting center fielder because I already have a guy I'm comfortable starting. You can see he definitely has good defense, and his hitting's going to be definitely tolerable, especially against right-handed pitching. So I like having a guy like this, and I'll be using him at the major league roster this year for sure. So this is the really crucial trade because we killed two birds with one stone. I got a pre-art player I like, and I unloaded a contract I didn't like. So that's really good. And this is pretty straightforward. I traded Rocky Curtis. I was pretty back and forth on whether I wanted to keep him or not, but ultimately he had a really good year last year, but it's right in line with his career averages, which is sort of unrealistic for somebody who's lost so much power and so much speed. You know, I wouldn't mind having her to play left field and first base, and I'd probably keep him if I had a $20 million training budget. But now his everything else, the contact splits and I are going to erode so quickly this year with a $14 million training budget that I just didn't want to mess around with that. And I feel like I can use the money better elsewhere. So I got this guy who's basically going to be my double A ace. You can see he fucking rocked the shit out of high A last year, so that's always exciting. So altogether, I made 7 trades. It's kind of a lot, but if you sort of sum it up, I shaved about $20 million of payroll, which is good. I improved my farm system. You know, I traded a few quadruple A guys, which is, I don't care. And I traded my best prospect for somebody who's, in my opinion, just as good. You know, I traded the pitching prospect for a different relief pitching prospect who I think is actually a little better. And I also acquired another guy who's a former first-round pick, who definitely combined with relief pitcher, I acquired my farm system's overall better. I think my major league roster is actually better too because I gave up Cromer, the effective but aging left fielder, and my third baseman, but I acquired a stud relief pitcher who can give me 180 innings and a pretty good second baseman. And I gave up a bunch of odds and ends too, but I also acquired odds and ends who I think are a little bit better. So I got younger, cheaper, more talent at the major league level, better farm system. I mean, I just won on all ends. So now I'm going to have about $50 million to sign about probably 8 or 9 different free agents. So hopefully that's enough to fill out my roster. And then if things go awry, I'll just hit the trade market again. But I think we can work out most of it in free agency. And you'd probably expect working at 7 trades to be quite a bit of work, but it really a lot of these were quick and painless. Like, I know Sick Changeup, he's not deterred by guys being senior citizens. He'll take on guys of any age. So I told him I was considering trading him. He told me he wouldn't give me anything, but you know, once nobody else really was going to give me anything useful for them, I just flipped them to him for free, which was so I just sort of knew I had those outs all along. That was really straightforward. This trade where I got the AAA corner outfielder / first baseman, he just posted him in World Chat, and so he was looking for a 700 OPS utility guy, and I was like, hey, look what I have. You know, I didn't want the 700 OPS utility guy, and I sort of wanted Osborne, so that was enough to make the trade. This was actually funny. I was trying to get Doc Harris for a while, and I was throwing out players that I valued actually, and the guy kept saying no, you know, he wasn't interested in any of them, and then it turned out that he was interested in the guy who I was most interested in unloading. So you know, basically I just posted in World Chat that I would give up something to get rid of him, and I guess that he was interested in Burgess in and of himself because he just wanted Zerber on to sweeten the pot. So I don't know, maybe I just forgot to link Burgess as a possibility, which is kind of funny for my end. It could have happened a lot quicker, but it happened, and I'm glad. This trade, I just linked Renee Cromer in World Chat, said I'm willing to trade him. Got 3 inquiries. I liked this prospect. I offered him. It got accepted. Really quick and painless. This guy, he put Sardinia on the trade block. I said, what do you want? I got this offer immediately. Really quick and painless. And this guy had Snyder on the trade block. I asked him what he needed. He said he needed either a prospect or a third baseman. And I was like, well, I have a third baseman who's pretty valuable, who's not, you know, super duper star. Like, I'm never going to give him up. So I sort of got the sense that, you know, somebody who's just going to say the only one major league position player they want is a third baseman it's worth exploring a little bit if you know they have, you know, the right pieces that makes it worthwhile for you without, you know, totally raping them. So between Snyder and Pretty, I thought I was getting pretty much a pretty solid return, and so I offered Ortiz. He instantly countered with Pedro Sainz, who I had no qualms with giving up. So, you know, none of these are really that hard, and I probably only trade chatted with one person who, deals didn't come to fruition. As long as you just sort of know what people are looking for and what they're willing to give up and sort of where their boundaries are, you can, get what you want. And like none of these trades are like me offering 3 quadruple A players for a Cy Young that happens in some of the so-called Tard worlds. Like, you know, I think a lot of these trades you can say the guys got what they wanted, and they advanced their situations because of it. So I just advanced my situation more than they did, I guess. So that's pretty great. And now I'm gonna keep my eye on the trade block and see what comes up, and mostly be focusing on dropping Mad Skrilla in the free agency market. And I'll keep you guys updated when that happens.